The assaults happened several times when I was a little kid. I told the people around me and no one believed me. I later found out he was assaulting several of my friends and sisters, religious upbringing, so big families in the community. Let's call the PDF file James. Fast forward 15 years and a lot of therapy later, I contacted the police department in the city where it happened and the city where he lives now. He was a family friend, so I know some of the people around him, but since it's beyond the statute of limitations, they can't or won't do anything. I've talked to lawyers and therapists about ways I can warn the people around him, since I know he has a very small daughter and worked in a position teaching young children, but I can't do much without possibly facing defamation charges. The family of the guy is very wealthy and has a lot of connections, so a legal battle would be a losing one from the start. This really weighed on me for a long time, and I felt a lot of guilt for not being able to help any of his other victims. I spent hours documenting where he works, where he lives, his co-workers, his community. With a little digging, I found the layout of his house, where he banks, where his kids go to school, and where he does his grocery shopping. He lives across the country now, so there's not much I can do physically, and I recognize this is pretty psychotic and obsessive behavior that probably isn't very healthy, but imagining ways I could get my revenge and being able to actually have the tools to do so at my fingertips helped give me a sense of control over the situation. I would never do anything to harm the people close to him or do anything additionally volatile. I would especially never do anything to harm his children or make anyone at his kids' school feel unsafe. This is between him and I'm very intentional about not continuing the cycle of trauma, just giving an eye for an eye. Something should probably be said about how much personal info a person can find if they really want to. Be careful what you post online. Anyway, I finally reach a point where I called his cell phone. I don't really know why I did. Part of me thinks it's because I wanted to make sure I was right about the information I'd procured. I didn't even have anything to say, so he picked up the phone, it was the right number, said hello, and I just silently listened on the line. I hadn't heard his voice in over a decade, so that was really jarring and made me feel kind of frozen. I wasn't trying to stay quiet or anything, and I think at some point he heard me breathing because he sounded kind of weirded out and sort of muttered "oh what the dash" and hung up the phone. This gave me an idea. For about 3 years now I've been calling him semi-regularly but without any pattern, so he can't anticipate the next one. For a while I'd just do heavy breathing and weird him out. Then I got kind of creative with it and started saying creepy religious shit with a voice changer app on my phone, saying things like, "What are the wages of sin, James?" And "Will the prodigal son be welcomed home when his path is littered with the nightmares of God's children, James?" Stuff that honestly probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but he started sounding really scared after I started doing that. His family are the mega conservative Alex Jones paranoid conspiracy type, so I figured it was enough to rattle him even if it was basically nonsense. At one point he tried to fight back and said something along the lines of, "I don't know who this is, but you need to stop calling me," and that really pissed me off honestly, because it's my revenge and I'll be damned if he gets in the way of me enjoying making him squirm. I told him I'd stop calling him within a fortnight, or something old-time ghosty sounding like that, but my calls would simply be moved to his employer and they'd face the wrath of all the little girls he's touched. He got really quiet after that and then hung up after a few seconds. This kind of peeved me off too, because he hung up on me, so I anonymously emailed his employer anyway and let them know about his history. I don't know the details of what went down, but I know that he no longer works there and the job change happened very shortly after my email. Now when I call him I wait a few seconds so he can't tell if it's me calling again or someone who actually needs to talk to him, and the satisfaction I get from hearing the edge of fear in his voice when he repeats that "hello" a second time has been slowly healing the younger me that was hurt and not protected. He's never tried to tell me to stop again. He's changed his number countless times and I always find it again within a few days of me realizing it's been changed. Before anyone mentions it in the comments, his wife knows, his parents know, his family knows, his pastor knows, his friends know. Everyone protects him because he asked for God's forgiveness, but he has yet to ask for forgiveness from any of his victims or own up fully to what he did. They all watered it down to it being a misunderstanding and him being too physically affectionate. That's not the truth of what happened. Not even close. The only reason I don't mention exposing him to everyone in his life right now is because they already know and don't care. Sometimes I want to shout to the world and share the joy of this part of my healing process, but as long as I don't tell anyone, there's no way he can ever find out through the grapevine that it's me and experience a moment of relief from the unknown. As long as I live, he'll never get the privilege of forgetting what he did. It gives me peace to know the only way he'll ever access that is in death, just like me. This is a throwaway account for obvious reasons. Believe kids. They don't lie about things like that. Have a good day.